Hello, everybody. Jerry back, and thank you again for tuning in, and welcome to my channel. And it seems like I am getting more and more viewers. It's starting to trickle in. I don't know if this is new viewers or people watching the videos for a second time, or for some reason, if that information is available, I don't know how to access it. Specifically who's watching the videos and stuff like that. I have no idea. So all this is new to me from the very first video that I did up until this one, and there hasn't been many, but it's all been 100% on the fly, and I'm just learning as I go. So and what I've been doing is my whole theme has been to just speak truth, and specifically about my life, and to just take that chance to become vulnerable, to lay it out there, take what may come, deal with the consequences, the good and the bad. And so far, I gotta say, there's been a lot of good and very little, if any, bad. And just the feeling of unburdening myself is uplifting, and it's amazing. And sometimes it's still finding myself in the very, very scary position of it's the comfort level. Let's say the what comes with completely just inviting everybody in a very unbiased, truthful, and unapologetic way. And it definitely comes with emotion, for sure, bravery, for sure, and unknown, and to take a leap of faith into the unknown, unknown territory, uncharted, vast, potential chaotic, potential devastation, potential tyranny, potential death. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand what I've been saying and what I've been doing. And that's fine. That's fine. Because what I was doing was a sure path to death. Because it wasn't working. It definitely wasn't working. And I just created an illusion of myself, and a altered version of myself to present a person that obviously was a person that was, liked, accepted, and um, admired, and that was obvious because of the way people, reacted to me. And I don't know, maybe that is or was or always has been the true version of me. But it certainly wasn't what I was feeling inside. And I've heard people say that you know someone who actually commits suicide or is thinking about committing suicide took the easy way out. They took the coward's way out, or it's the a good one is it's the permanent solution to a preventable problem. Okay, I guess that's true. That suicide would be the permanent solution because you no longer have to deal with what's going on. And to say it's a preventable problem, that's a tough one because I can ask the question is when you were about 6 or 7 years old, were you ever exposed to your father's full nude body when you were in the bathroom and you peeing, urinating, and your father was in the shower? And did he ever swing the shower door open, expose himself, thought it was funny, laughed, and then closed the shower curtain door again? Has that ever happened? Or anything like it? Or was your first sexual experience being disciplined by your uncle when you were a young teenager because he found a dirty magazine and was talking to you about the dirty magazine, asking you where you got it, and then exploited you? And then your first sexual experience was with your uncle because they manipulated you, and then told you never to tell anybody? Did that ever happen? So if somebody says you're taking a permanent solution to a preventable problem, did these experiences ever cause you to function how you fit in the world? And you're one person when you're by yourself with your thoughts and just trying every day to make sure you navigate the day so nobody can even get a glimpse of what's actually going on in your head because you protect it and you protect it and you protect it. And you don't kill yourself because of what it's going to do to everybody else. So you live with the suffering. So is it a reason not to do it because it's a permanent solution to a preventable problem? Okay, that's true. So how do you go from feeling that suicide is the only solution because your situation doesn't feel like there's any other solution, that there is, that it's not preventable. So what do? When you're at your lowest points, you just got to find a reason not to. And then buy time until that overwhelming feeling of not wanting to go back to placing a shotgun loaded with a slug underneath your chin in your bedroom by yourself because of what seems like one little situation of a woman that I loved broke up with me, and that seemed like the reason. Well, that wasn't the reason. It was because I didn't feel loved, so how can I love another? And I did everything I can to sabotage everything that was in my life, and I blew it up. And then when I blew it up, when I wasn't around people, it was the misery and just me and the thoughts in my head of what was going on. And I had to protect. I felt like I had to protect everybody else from the truth of what was going on in my mind, what was going on in my head, the thoughts, and saying, I'm fine living in my car. This is something I need to go through. I'm going to become a stronger person because of it. You don't have to worry about me. Everything's great. And you know, and when I was in, you know, staying at somebody's house, crashing on their couch, you know, I wasn't looking for solutions for myself. I was in temporary comfort. But again, the feelings that were going on inside of me was I'm such a loser and I am imposing on these people. I can tell by the rolling of the eyes. Now, whether that was going on or not, I don't know. But I am only consumed with what I think other people are thinking. Why would they want me here? Why would they want some bum here who has no ambition in life, who's only existing for the approval of other people? Oh yeah, you're doing a good job. Yeah, keep it up. It's going to turn around. Everything's going to get better. Here's some advice. Oh yeah, I remember when, you know, my cousin was living in his car and he's doing great now. Blah blah blah. All that crap. And it's all well and good. It may have even felt better temporarily because, you know, when people say these things, they say it from the heart. You know, you're a good guy, you've been a hard worker, you've always come through, and you've always made good decisions, and you know, this is going to turn around for you, and you got a great personality, and you got a good work ethic, and all that stuff. And whether it's true or not, whether that was true or not, there was no way of me being able to not only accept that, whether it's true or not, to even believe it or to even acknowledge it, was because I chose to keep what was going on inside my head with my life guarded and under tight wraps. And it was much easier, or much better. I wouldn't say easier, but it was necessary for me to portray myself as somebody who's in a temporary situation. It's going to turn around, things are going to get better, and I'm always in the fight. And it was just easier to act like that was the case, and where clearly it wasn't. And so I had come to a point recently where I and again, this is very recent. This is not far before I started doing this. And I used to say things to my son like, if God forbid something happens to me, I'm getting up there in age. I just want you to know, I want you to be okay, and remember the things that I've taught you, and I want you to be strong, and I know you're going to be sad, but I'm proud of you. I said stuff like that to him because I felt like I needed to prepare him, because if he found his father dead, then I needed to make sure that that he I don't know, I guess would be okay as he could be. And that's where it was. So I've unburdened a lot of things. I've talked about a lot of things, and that's great because it has gotten me to this point where I'm not gonna sit here and tell you these thoughts still don't run through my head, because they do. Powerful. They're powerful. But the more I put sunshine on it, and in my next video after this one, which my son will be editing, I talk a lot about truth. And it's something that I wrote in less than 24 hours, which I'm really, really proud of. And I shared it with a couple of people already. It got such a great response. And so that will be in the next video after this. And as I'm recording this, I have no idea if I'm going to send it. So if you're listening to it, that means I sent it, because I think I'm going to go all the way this time about what was going on. So let's start here. I mean, right now I'm almost 20 minutes in, so I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can, but I want to unpack a lot of stuff. Because I think that this is going to be the turning point for me, where maybe things are going to really start propelling in the direction that I want them to. And the only thing I'm going to ask is, what I've learned is, in order to want something, in order to strive for a goal, in order to succeed, to complete a journey, is you got to sacrifice something. To gain something, you got to give something up. And that's what I'm going to do right now. What I feel is maybe a little bit of security, holding on to what probably needs to be said, to do something I cannot come back from. The one last thing that has a grip on me. So here it goes. When I was this is probably going back just before I started driving trucks. So it's the early to mid 90s. So I guess I would have been in my 20s or something. I'm not going to do the math right now, but it was in my early 20s, and not knowing what direction I want to go in life, and constantly feeling I was a disappointment to my parents, and all this was because everything that I've been through and stuff, and I hadn't talked about any of it. So I would sabotage a lot of stuff, and I had good jobs where I was going in probably a pretty decent direction, and boom, I'd sabotage it. Gone. Living in apartments, gone. Relationships, gone. The few relationships that I've had, and they were all gone. I destroyed everything, and I felt like I was the black sheep in the family. I was the disappointment in the family. So, I dealt with that by, um, again, I talked about this already, but just being agreeable with everybody, getting everybody to like me, and getting, putting out the best false version of myself that I can. But inside, I I was in truck driving school, and I ended up becoming friends with this with one of the students. So we'd get together, we'd go to a bar, we'd have drinks. Nothing unusual about that. And I met his family, I met his wife, I met his daughter, and we were sitting in his house just watching television like people do, and suddenly he blurts out, pretty much out of nowhere, by this way, I'm bisexual. You want a blowjob? Um, so now, um, everything that I was dealing with in my past, having had been sexually molested by my uncle, uh, being a big dorky kid who was made to feel he was immature because he looked so much older than he actually was. So I was labeled as immature all the time, and I remember that. So now I'm presented. This is it, because I didn't know. I didn't know if I was straight, gay, bisexual. I didn't know. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything as far as um, any kind of feeling like that. Like what aroused me? What was I attracted to? What came natural? Um, was it women I liked? Was it men I liked? Was it neither? Was it both? I had no friggin' idea. So now, besides the fact that I was so messed up in my head about um, because of the fact that I'm going to put it this way, that my uncle was, I'm just going to say it, he was huge, and I wasn't. And I was stuck in a world of porn. They were huge, and I wasn't. In high school, football, in the locker room, guys were huge, some, and I wasn't. Um, the fact that I had gotten so wrapped up in pornography, and that was my sexual outlet. That was it. I had what I needed, and I ran with it. That was it. And some people I hid it from, some people I didn't. Some of my friends thought it was funny, and and obviously some people I protected that from. And that was my world. That was my alternate universe. I was addicted to porn, like you would not believe. And I would go into these peep shows where you put a couple, dollar bills, and you're on a timer, and then the screen comes on and you get to sit there and watch porn in a booth where a bunch of other people watch porn before you. And who knows what was inside there. And then I made the ultimate discovery when I was driving a truck. Um, I used to go and find the porn shops, and as much as alcohol and drugs is an addiction, so is pornography. And I discovered something that was going to be as close to being with a woman that I felt like I'm going to get at this point, and that is you can put money in a slot, and then a partition raises, and between a glass is a actual woman. There she is, real. And man, that took on another life of its own. And I knew where all of them were. Not all of them, but you know what I'm saying. I knew where a lot of these places were, and trust me, they're all over the place. So as far as I was concerned, I didn't need people. I'm talking about in a in a loving sexual. When I say sexual, I mean that union between two people. I didn't need that because I was too ashamed to even want to think about trying to be in a relationship with somebody. And at that point, I had already had a shotgun to my chin. Wanted to end it because the girl I truly loved broke up with me, and and I just there was so many times where I just could not perform sexually because of everything that was going on, and of course that plays on me, and I would get oh, don't worry about it, it's okay, and I understand, and I don't know if she really understood, but I just did what she wanted to do, and I sabotaged the relationship, and she broke up with me, and you know I tried to kill myself, but I didn't. So I was led down this path of artificial sexual pleasure, and it got to the point where I was so sexually dysfunctional that I would watch it, and that's all I would do is sit there and watch it. No sexual arousal, no nothing. I just I couldn't function sexually at all. Um, so when this guy told me he was take the bold step of saying I'm bisexual. Do you want a blowjob? I told him no. I kind of gulped. I summoned up the courage, and I said, because I wanted to know, can I give you one? And he agreed. So, um, and I did, and I hated it. I hated it because after I did that, I went over to my sister was having a birthday party for somebody, and when I showed up, everybody was happy to see me, or the version of me, but all I could think of is, what did I just do? I hated it. But that brought me even more into further down the hole in a world that I was creating. And for this guy, um, as much as I hated doing it, this too became an addiction where um, he had his source, and again, as much as I hated doing it, there was an uncontrollable urge to perform oral sex on men. Uncontrollable. I guess much like a drug addict, alcoholic, food addict, uh, cravings. And I had my source, and I went with it. And at some point, I had cut it off with him. And for him, I mean, there was no suggestion of a relationship or anything like that. Nothing like that. It was just two guys doing what they thought was fun, and then that's where it ended. And and the so I just I hated myself for it. Hated myself for it. And and this is probably going back into like maybe the late 90s, then a little bit into the early 2000s, and even into the mid 2000s. So it was quite a while where I knew this guy. And there was that odd time where I was able to get sexually aroused, so I knew I could. I knew it wasn't anything biological, it was psychological. Why I couldn't get an erection or even enjoy the favors, so to speak. But there were times when I did, and but most times I couldn't. So when I've always been very, very, very attractive to women, very attractive. I mean, if I saw a woman that I found attractive, then wow, So I knew I wasn't gay, and I knew I wasn't looking for that relationship with men, and I knew that I found women, I mean, attractive, very attractive. I still do, but I could not crawl out of this hole that I dug myself in, and I went a very long time without engaging in that activity with men again. But I stayed with it as far as the pornography goes, and it's like the it's like you have to up the level of the intensity of the pornography for it to stay appealing. Otherwise, I got nothing left. And I just needed, I guess you can call it like a distraction of, because if I was just by myself without some kind of an outlet to distract myself, then I would die. I would die. There's no doubt about that. So I needed something to cling on to, and that was pornography. So It gave me what I needed. I could do it in secrecy. Nobody had to know about it. And it just seemed to fill the void that I needed filled, because I could still go on, making people believe that everything was okay. Whereas, sorry, I have to get rid of this phone call here. Sorry. It made, it gave me the opportunity to be able to get what I needed to satisfy the anxiety, to create that distraction that I needed to be able to stay alive, and that was it. But what started to happen was I was getting severe cravings to want to perform oral sex on men. I'll just put it bluntly like that. So, the best way to do that, first of all, is there's outlets where you can do this kind of thing. Craigslist, certain place you can go, and I did it, and I would get this overwhelming craving. I mean, it's uncontrollable. It's just a feeling. You can't help it. You have absolutely no control over this feeling, this crave. It's crazy. So, pretty much I want to sound weird, but the safest, non-invasive, and way that I could satisfy this craving, I found ways. And the problem is that once I did it, the craving went away, but then the guilt came in, because I considered myself to be a man of faith. And the guilt, the shame always came after. Always. But you see, somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug addict, they get to the point where, when they're deep into their addiction, it becomes quite obvious because of their lifestyle changes and erratic behavior and stuff like that. So for me, I don't know if people knew. People must have known something was going on, but not that. And it turned into a cycle to where everything would be fine. I mean, the thoughts and the weird stuff that was going on in my head never went away. But that never went away. That I was dealing with the best way I can, just getting through life and not dying, getting through life and not killing myself. That's what I was doing. Okay, as much as it would have been easier to just end the suffering, I chose not to. Okay, so, but when that craving, uncontrollable, came up, there was nothing I can do to stop it. There was nothing I can do to stop it. Now, people can believe that or not and say, well, just don't do it. Well, just don't take that extra piece of cake. Just don't eat that whole pizza pie. Just don't, snort that cocaine. Just don't suck that dick. It ain't so easy. So that was the shameful life that I was living is barely getting through life, putting on the act that everything's fine, having this secret life, satisfying a craving, feel an overwhelming amount of guilt for doing that, waiting for the guilt to subside, and then moving on again and hope I never have to go through that again. That was the cycle until it happens again. That was the cycle. And so I started to go to therapy. And at first, I went to a psychiatrist. And in the very beginning, the psychiatrist was awesome. I mean, just talking about some things was, and sort of letting it out. But, you're in a safe place. It's not that big of a deal to tell your problems to a psychiatrist. There's no bravery in that. Because you're in a safe place. You know this person can't repeat anything. You know they can't pass judgment. You know they're there to help you. You know they're there not to judge you. So, as much as, you're going to get feedback and make you feel a little bit better, it's not nearly as therapeutic as what I'm doing right now. So, let's be honest. So, when I did talk about these things, this psychiatrist, first of all, told me that I was one of the nicest people they've ever met. So, and I am purposely trying to not give any indication of anything about this person because of what I'm about to tell you. So this psychiatrist was, told me I was one of the nicest person they've ever met. And I guess that was nice to hear. Some people have said that to me. And so what ended up happening was this person started telling me their problems. Literally. And I would really need stuff that I needed worked on. I needed help with a lot that I needed to unburden myself about. And then the entire session would be me hearing that person's problems. And then to say something like, oh, I'm sorry to do this. If you want me to stop, doing this, that's fine. I'll understand. You're so easy to talk to. And I, you helped me a lot. And I knew things about this person that nobody else knew by their admission. And so this person is getting free advice, and I'm the sucker paying for it. Not only is this person getting free advice, but is profiting from it. And by their admission, I resolve their problems. It's actually a person, but again, I'm not even going to diverge the gender of this person. So that's why I say they or there. And the daughters, the husband, and all this stuff. So apparently I gave good advice. And I'm sure I did, because I've done that in the past. And for a while, this person wasn't charging me copays, because $25 a pop of money I didn't have, and the insurance covered the rest. But so I wasn't getting charged a copay, which I'm like, okay, maybe there's a method to the madness here, and maybe in a backdoor sort of way, this is this doctor's way of maybe administering care to me. I don't know. But then all of a sudden, I get a bill for all the back co-pays. I couldn't believe it. So I paid them, and then I stopped seeing that person. And but initially, I had received a lot of help. Initially, because I got to talk about it for the very first time. I got to talk about what was going on, and this led to other, choices that I made that were the right choices. Finding the bravery to be able to step out of the chaos, out of the shadows, and into the light. That's the best way I can put that. So there was a benefit. So a little more time went by, and I went to see another psychologist. And boy, from the very beginning, I'm going to say this one was a she. From the very, very beginning, this was my journey. She put me on a path of healing. She put me on the path of my what I'm doing right now. She did that. She listened with compassion. She listened with empathy. She made me feel so comfortable talking about these things that dogged me my entire life. And the fact that I felt so comfortable freeing myself about what was going on in my head, and then her knowing exactly when to step in and give an antidote, to give a little piece of advice, to extend a branch, to pull me a little bit out of the quicksand, and not pull me out all at once, because it's a process of taking the slow, methodical method of breaking down every little thing that was going on. But the one thing I wasn't talking, I talked a lot about, what was going on in my head, about the sexual thing with my uncle, and how that was making me feel, and the thoughts that going on in my head, and stuff with growing up, and I talked about all of that. But the one thing I never talked about was the sexual behavior. And all I'm thinking is, wow, I got to talk about this, because this is the one thing that's holding me back. I got to talk about it. So I remember I walked in, I said, all right, there's something I really need to talk about. I haven't talked to you about it yet. This is going to be really, really hard. And so I'm just going to start from the beginning. And I said, I have been addicted to homosexuality, where I have an uncontrollable urge to perform oral sex on men. There it is. There it is. Shocked the crap out of this woman. What? Why would you do that? That's not good. You got to stop doing that. But that's not what she said. You know what she said to me? She goes, oh, are you bisexual? don't know. Never thought about that. Honestly, I was petrified of women. I know that. I was petrified that if I make myself vulnerable to a woman, I know I'm not going to be able to get an erection. So what good am I going to be? And that was the scariest thing in the world. I knew that. Um, why I was exhibiting this behavior and then hating myself for it, I didn't know. And I said that to her. And she asked me again, are you a bisexual? And I said, well, what I do know is that I have this overwhelming craving and desire to perform oral sex on men. And then after I do it, I have an overwhelming amount of guilt and hatred for myself after doing it. And then I'm fine for a while, and then the desire comes back again, and I repeat the process. And she asked me again, are you a bisexual? And I said, I don't know. And she said to me, well, if you are, there's nothing wrong with you. And if you're not, there's nothing wrong with you. So figure out what you want. Figure out what you are. And whatever that is, there's nothing wrong with you. And she said, if you are a bisexual, then I know of a group of men that meet, and if you want to meet them, I can give you the number, the contact. So let me know. Now what? Now what? So I did think about it. And I said, I called her. And I said, well, maybe give me that number and I'll think about it. And she said, okay, I'll dig it up. I'll let you know. And she didn't give it to me. And I don't know if she was waiting to see if I asked for it again, if there was a method to her madness, but I never asked for it again. And at that point, she handed me a book. And she said, I think this book will help you. And the name of the book is literally, There Is Nothing Wrong With You, The Guide to Self-Hate. And that book saved my life. And you know what? If I'm a bisexual, there's nothing wrong with me. If I'm not a bisexual, there's nothing wrong with me. I have not, again, and it's been a while, had any kind of craving, desire, nothing to do that. And I've come to realize that through all of that, there was nothing wrong with me. And whatever reason I was doing it, whatever led me to that behavior is gone. It's gone. It's completely gone. It's not that I look at it and back on it and say, how could I have done that? That's so disgusting. I can't believe it. I don't do that because it's gone. And it's been a while. And that's a good feeling. And I don't need, for whatever reason, I'm cured. I don't need that anymore. I don't have to have that to feel something. I don't know. And I don't regret anything. I don't regret anything that's happened in my life because of where I am now. So, where I am now is what I realize. The one thing that I can say is what I really, 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 truly um, if there's a craving or a or something that's missing in my life now is companionship, specifically female companionship. And what I tended to do is anytime that I would you know meet somebody, meet a woman, and then things start to go forward, then my behavior would actually absolutely just blow it up. Because the only thing I was ever focused on, the only thing that mattered to me is what is she going to think? What is she going to think? And that sort of mentality would dictate my behavior. And before she could form an opinion of me, I chased them all away. And I don't like being alone. I don't like being alone. I don't want to be alone. And I'm ready. I'm ready to really, I'm ready for more companionship. And it's scary. And it's 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 worth taking a shot though. And so the first step for me is to hopefully post this. And because this is pretty much the final piece of the puzzle. This is what I have been guarding for years, and not letting people in on this, and the one thing that I was ashamed of because of my religious conviction, um, my my political positions, um, the way I've shown false confidence to people. Uh, my behavior violated all of that. And then to submit that behavior and then feel guilty about it and then lie about it. And then um, create a uh, false image of myself based on uh, lies is what's kept me from being happy. I'm not doing that anymore. So that's it. I've unburdened myself. The truth is out. I did it. And I'm going to post this. And I'm going to do it right now because I am starting to feel about me the way people felt about what I perceived to be the false version of me. I hated the false version of me. And I protected the false version of me. Well, I protected the version, the true, what I felt was a true version of me. This underground behavior, this dark places I was going to, and then what I was portraying out there, that the person that people liked, the person that was drawn to me, the person that was giving advice, the person people wanted to be around, the person people felt drawn to. That's me. That's the real person of me. That's who I am. Who I was showing you above the surface is me, is the real me. That's who I really am. And now that's who I believe I really am. Because even though there's nothing wrong with anything I've ever done in my life, any choices that I made, there's nothing wrong with them. And I don't regret any of them. I really don't. Because um, I realize that there's only one version of me, and that's the real one. That's the truth. And that's the one you've just heard. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your compassion. I love you all and God bless. And please, I want to hear your stories. I want people to open up to me the way I've opened up because it's liberating. Stop hiding. Stop hating a version of yourself that isn't true. You don't have to be that version. And free yourself and help me to be able to help people do what you can do, what I've done. And let's start with fixing ourselves, fixing the people around us, fixing the world, because we can do it. God bless you. Love you all.